Christian Savings started with this idea that churches needed a stable access to competitive and fair financing. And in the 1960s, especially as the Baptist churches were growing rapidly, mainstream banks simply weren't serving churches or Christian charities very well. And so Christian Savings started with a vision to always be there for the church and to ensure that it had what it needed to thrive.
The day I wrote up the rules of the Development Society, I remember I was sitting down at a desk and putting here the Australian rules and the British rules. And so I built up on the paper the rules. We had no idea where it would all end up. It was almost like throwing a pebble in the water and wondering how far the circle would go. I think the value is that it's there to help, but it's a sympathetic help too, because they understand, what you're all about.
I think Christian Savings is not like any financial institution. That's how I see it. It's kingdom vested. We understand what the churches and the Christian charities, their mission is as well, because at the end of the day, the core mission of Christian Savings and these organizations is to extend God's kingdom in New Zealand. It is to be Christ's ambassadors to our communities. Having Christian Savings is an organization to be able to help and assist with lending to these churches and Christian charities makes a lot of sense, because you are in it together, even because there's also a faith element involved in our mission and it within their mission as well.
They are a financial institution, and there's the robustness, the commercial side of that, which has led to their success and needs to continue to lead to their success so they can help faith communities. But they also stand alongside those faith communities and walk with them and enable them to achieve what they want to achieve. What I like about what they're able to do is still having the financial rigor around the lending, but just have that ability to connect with the why rather than just the what and the how. So I think that's really important for faith communities. And often trading banks or other institutions don't get it, or are worried or concerned about whether that has longevity. And Christian Savings sits alongside and is able to connect with our purposes as well as providing the finance, which is really cool.
I think the next 60 years for Christian Savings will be really interesting. We know that the church is going through transition, but in that transition and in those challenges comes reimagination of what it means to be the hands and feet of Christ in New Zealand. And that's actually something to get really excited about. And so whilst the church may not look the same in 60 years as it does now, it's still going to be central to Jesus' mission in the world, and I fully expect Christian Savings to be there holding the hand of the church as it goes through that journey too.
I mean, the very fact that we've existed for 60 years itself is a testament of God's faithfulness and God at work.
It's got now 60 years behind it, and it's worked hard at its growth. It hasn't been just a thing that has suddenly appeared and offered its services and advantages. It's had to work through the whole process and grow with it.
And I thought, wow, I've never seen an organization such as this. It's just this growth. And it's the dedication of the directors and the staff.
I think it's Kierkegaard who said that life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. And it's like that, you get involved in something and you don't really know where it's going, but at the end, you're often very amazed at what came from just that involvement and just having a go. And I think it's a great achievement.
Jumping back to the mid-90s, I was aware of the size of what it was back then. Jumping in now and seeing it so much bigger and helping so many more churches and having so many deposits. Yeah, I mean, I can see the progression as you look back. The longevity is a result of God working through it as an organisation, but also the investors and the organisations that have come to Christian Savings for the help. The strength of our movement and the strength of Christian Savings are really tied together, and yeah, absolutely something to be proud of.
If we just said, we'll end up one day like this with all these funds, they'd say, oh, come on. It's quite heartwarming. It really is. And you're doing such a good job in helping folk.
The same vision 60 years ago is certainly the same vision we have now, and that is to ensure that we can be there for the church, primarily in the area of finance, so that churches can grow, they can develop, and they can reimagine what it means to be the church in New Zealand. It's a legacy that we're really proud of, and we know that will continue into the future.